So before we get started, I wanted to introduce to you the team that's going to be presenting BIM 360 Design to you today. My name is John Ade. I'm the Director of Strategic Services for our AE, which is Architecture and Engineering Technology Group. We also have on the call Mike Massey, who's one of our Strategic Services Specialists. And we also have Brian Juge, another Strategic Services Specialist, and then Matt Dillon, Director of Core Services. And just to point out, we're going to be interacting with BIM 360 Design together, and we're all in different cities. I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia. Mike is located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Brian is in Denver, Colorado, and Matt Dillon is in San Antonio, Texas. So we really have a distributed team, so we're going to be showing you geographically how strong this product is, as well as the feature set that I think you're all going to enjoy today. So again, this is all about BIM 360 Design. Previously, we've been using two products, BIM 360 Team and Collaboration for Revit. BIM 360 Design combines these two and brings it over into the BIM 360 platform that Autodesk has put together to help with not only design, but pre-construction, field execution, and operations. And the benefit here is that now, depending on the team you're a member of or the collaboration that you're going to be doing, it spans and flows from design through these different elements of the life cycle of a project. So from design to pre-construction to field execution, handover, and operations. Much more integrated approach, and it has additional features that were not available previously in BIM 360 Team that you're going to want to leverage. So BIM 360 Team has four main feature sets. The first, formerly known as Collaboration for Revit, is Revit Cloud Work Sharing. This is a rebranding for Collaboration for Revit with the added ability to control cloud work sharing through permissions and shared models. You now have much more control over when your model is available for consumption by other team members. We did not have that much granularity or control in BIM 360 Team. We now have it with BIM 360 Design. With the consolidation of services on BIM 360 platform, former BIM 360 Team users will have additional features available through Document Management module. Design Collaboration module will add functionality for milestone tracking, change visualization, and deliverable coordination. And a feature recently made available to BIM 360 Team is the Autodesk Desktop Connector for connecting your desktop to the cloud. Another thing to keep in mind is with the introduction of BIM 360 Design on April 9th, that does not mean that you won't have access to BIM 360 Team and your Collaboration for Projects. Those are still there. They are still active, and as long as you maintain licenses for access to those projects, that does not change. What has changed is if you're using the latest version of Revit, version 2018.3 or 2019, you will be able to leverage BIM 360 Design. So with new licenses or new seats of BIM 360 Design, you have access to both platforms depending on what you currently have set up and new projects moving forward. So for those of you that have either purchased software in the past and are a contract manager, you actually get one of these emails. The first one on the left is actually a confirmation email that software has been purchased, and I'm really starting at this point because many of you have already been using BIM 360 Team. If that's the case, then it's really a matter of activating the BIM 360 document management or design platform. So you already have entitlement to that with those existing contracts. This is looking at a brand new purchase of BIM 360 design software. And the important thing is the contract manager has to activate the BIM 360 account, and they will need the contract number in order to do that. A second follow-up email often comes after the initial confirmation of the software purchase, and it will actually have a link that will direct you to sign into the Autodesk account. And again, this needs to be done by the contract manager. So this page is actually, so I've got a series of slides. At the end of this, I actually tend to show you kind of live what some of this looks like, and it's basically a mirror image of what these slides are showing. So I won't spend too much time on either one of them. So this page in Autodesk account, I've filtered it to show just my BIM 360 docs, my BIM 360 team licenses, and the arrow is pointing to a link to activate the BIM 360 platform. Now the difference is that BIM 360 team is a separate entitlement to collaboration for Revit. Once you move over to BIM 360 design, that one entitlement gives you access to BIM 360 docs as well as design collaboration. So in the past, where we had one for setting up team and maybe setting up your hub, and then a separate one for people accessing it for live collaboration in Revit, now it's all in one. And when you do select that link, you're presented with this form to activate your new BIM 360 account. Again, this is saying new BIM 360 account. And again, it's in the fine print. You really need to see to read these to make sure that you're in the right place, because you may have two contracts, one with team and one with collaboration for Revit. They both work, but they both have entitlements that do different things. And you'll notice this last check, do not use this form if you are a C4R or BIM 360 design customer. Use the link next to BIM 360 design in your Autodesk account, which I'll show you on the next slide, or I'll show you live. So again, collaboration for Revit is very similar. You do have a similar link, but this time it is, and I'll show you. You are clicking this time to activate access to BIM 360 design. So that's what they were referring to in that last message. If you then select this, it again has fine print that you should always read. And again, it's going to tell you if you are using Revit 2018.2 or earlier, you can only cloud workshare using the BIM 360 team platform. So again, you still have access to that. However, anything using Revit 2018.3 or newer can leverage the BIM 360 design platform. And notice this last note. If you already have a BIM 360 account and are trying to add design collaboration module, contact your reseller for assistance. Now the reason the contract manager has to do this activity because they're the ones who have access to all the software under an account and under the multiple contracts that may be under an Autodesk account. And when they enable and start that process by filling in that form, they're going to get an email to confirm the activation of your account. So this is going to go back to the contract manager, nobody else. And with that, once they do activate it, that's when you're going to get access to, back up a slide here, but that's when you're going to get access to BIM 360 design, and you're able to set up your projects. And before I hand that over, I just wanted to show a couple things live. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I just need to pick the right one to share. And so again, this is a little bit of duplicate to the slides I just showed you, but I did want you to see it a little bit more interactively. And then the rest of this will be a live demonstration. So I'm logged into our account. I have a lot of software in our account, so it's easier for me to actually use this function to filter it down. And I'm going to go to BIM 360 design. And it helps if you spell BIM correctly. And there it is. And so again, if I expand this, there is the link to activate and access BIM 360 design. When you select that, it's going to open up a new tab, and then there's that form. The one piece of information that you have to have, and again, this is going to go back to the contract manager, is the contract on which those licenses reside. So with that, that's just kind of an introduction on activating it. It's very simple. They do suggest that you only activate once per account. So please keep in mind, if you have multiple contracts that have licenses, you really only need to do this once. Now with that, I'm going to hand it off to Mike Massey, who I believe is going to show you how to set up projects.
Thanks, John. I will go ahead and share my screen and let it come up. Thank you, guys. My name is Mike Massey, and I am now looking at my BIM 360 design account homepage. Let me make sure I picked the right screen here again. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now. We're looking at the account homepage. So this is what it looks like once you do get your entitlement all set up with your license. Once you log in, this is where it's going to take you. Just to kind of give you a little bit of the layout of the land here, we've got some tools up here at the top, some different options that we can pick on. We've got a drop down here that if once you do have projects, you're going to be able to switch between your different projects up here or different accounts that you may have in there. There's it's kind of the main way you're switching back and forth there. And then we've got these little different tabs up here that we can go to. So I will create a project, but before I do that, let me just kind of show you that I've already got some members in here. Oops, it's going to make me sign in again. It does have a timeout feature. I think it's timed out, so let me log back in real quick. But I've got some members already in here, and the members that I've got set up in here are the people that's going to be presenting, and I've made some fictitious companies and assigned our members to be those companies. So we're going to have an MEP engineering company, we're going to have an architectural company, and we're going to have a structural engineering company. So those are the main companies we'll be working with in there. And I've already got members assigned in here, and I've assigned each one of our speakers today to be one of those companies. So Brian's going to be acting as the structural engineer, John's going to be acting as the MEP engineer, and Matt's going to be acting as the architect. So simply to create a project, if I go back to the project tab, I can simply click on the add button and start typing out the information about the project. And since this is called raw and uncut, I'm just going to use that as my project name. I will select a project type. This is going to be a medical office type of building, so I'll go down and just pick on medical office as far as the project type. We only have to fill in the information that has the asterisk, but if you want to fill in other information, you can. It's just going to track all that information with the project. We can go ahead and give it a value in there. We can also tell it what type of contract it is, whether it's a design build or design bid build or IPD, whatever the contract type is. We do need to pick a start date for this project and a projected end date. This projected end date can change. I'll just bump it out maybe a year and have it out a year long there. It also has a section here to assign business units. This will be where you can maybe establish maybe East Coast projects versus West Coast projects or something like that if you need to do that to kind of divide out your projects. You can upload an image if you prefer to have an image for the icon of the project, and also fill out the project information as far as the address and city and location. Once you have all that filled out, you simply just hit the Save and Continue button, and then it was going to ask you to activate what services you want to activate. And there's two services that I'm going to activate. One's called Document Management, and one's called Design Collaboration. I'm going to activate both of these, and when I do, it's going to ask me to select an administrator for this service. So I'm going to go ahead and make myself the administrator for this service. And I'm just going to start typing my name, and my name should pop up there. If we have another project that we want to copy from, we could come down here and use this drop down to pick another project. So this could be like maybe a template project that we could copy from that would already have folder structures set up in it, so that we wouldn't have to remake the folder structures every time. But I'm going to start from blank, so I'm not going to do that. But I'll go ahead and save this. So this is activating the first module, the document management module, and then I'll activate the design collaboration module as well. And I'm going to make myself the admin for that as well. Once we have these two services activated, I'm going to go ahead and finish this. And now the project is created. So we have two projects here that we can pick on. Right now, there's not any members of the project beside myself. Since I'm the administrator for these, it went ahead and made me members in there, but you can see it's just got one member in there. To actually go into the project, I'm going to go ahead and select on it, and it's going to switch. And now we're looking at the project admin as opposed to the account admin. We can always go back to the account admin. If we pick on the button at the top, we can switch back and forth between the project and the account. But in the project admin, this is where we can go ahead and add additional members. Or we can add more companies, or look at our services that we've got turned on, different things like that that are in there. So let me go ahead and create, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll create, I'll just go ahead and add my members in here, and I'm going to add, we'll add Matt to the project, and I'm going to add Brian to the project, and I'm going to add John. Once I add these, I will go ahead and assign, their companies already came in, but I will go ahead and assign roles for these people. So I'm going to assign, like I said, Matt's going to be the architect, Brian's going to be an engineer, and John's going to be an engineer as well. Over here on the right, I do have the ability to go ahead and make one of them a project administrator as well. If they're a project administrator, they will be able to add more users to the project. Only project administrators can do that. So I have the choice if I want to make them project administrators. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave me as the only project administrator. But they will have access to the other two services, the document management module and also the design collaboration module. I'm going to go ahead and jump now to the next module, the first module, the document management module. This is the main file storage module. This is where we're going to see all of our files that we put onto our project. When we go into this modules, there's two main folders that we can work in. There's a plan folder up here at the top, and then there's a project file folder. For all practical purposes, we're going to use the project file folder to place our Revit files in there. Really what the plans folder is for is if you have a contractor involved, you can put the actual construction documents, the PDFs of the documents up in the plans folder that will separate all the PDFs out so they can just see the finished final documents of there. So we can publish the final documents, but all our work in progress files are going to be saved in the project file folder. So in this project file folder, there's not any subfolders in here yet, but we could come in here and we could add subfolders. We could rename things in there, different things we want to do as far as adding those folders in there. But like I said, the main one that we're going to be working in is the project files. I'm going to go back actually and go back to my project administration. I want to create one more thing. I'm going to go back and create what's called teams for this project. And teams will allow me to start establishing permission levels that I can establish for who has rights to what folder. One of the things that collaboration for Revit did not have was any type of permission level inside the Revit models. Anybody was able to open any model they want to. But now with this, BIM 360 Design, we can come in here and start establishing teams, and this will allow us to establish who has rights to what folder to keep people out of the model if they don't need to be in that particular model. So I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of teams in here. When we add these teams, we can either do this by individual, by typing in an individual name, or we could do it by a role and type in the role of an architect or a role of an engineer, or we could do it by company name, and anybody that's assigned to that company would pick up those rights in there. So I'm going to do it by company and just add the company names in here. So I will add, let's see, let's add modern. Oh, I don't have the companies in there. You know what? We didn't create the companies. We'll just do it by name. Add John in there. I'm sorry, let me back up. Before I add the names in there, I've got to create the teams. Let me back up a second. This is raw and uncut. This software is brand new, so we're learning as well. Let me back up. I need to create the teams. This is going to be the different disciplines. And so I'm going to create 3 teams, one for the architectural team, one for the MEP team, and one for the structural team. So let me create these 3 teams. So there's the architectural. Let me add them in there. And then I will create the MEP team, and then I'll create the structural team. Then once these teams are created, then I will go back and add the members to these teams. So there's the first one. Let me add MEP next. And the final one will be structure. Again, what this is going to allow us to do is everybody that's part of these teams are going to be assigned permissions as far as what they can see and what they can do inside the project. Okay, now we have the 3 teams created. So then I'm going to pick on each one of these, and we're going to manage the team members and assign the team members to be in these teams. This is where you can do it either by role or by company or by individual. So I'll do it by, we'll do it by company. What did I? Did I not add the members yet? Yeah, it'd help if I add the members first. I am getting way ahead of myself here. Let me go back and add the members first. I'm the only one part of this project, so I haven't added the actual members in this project. So let me add the members to the project. So let me add John, and then I will add, like that one, you got to pick it off the list. And then I will add Brian, and then I'll add Matt. How did I did this? Architect, engineer. All right. Now let me go back and add my project members in there.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
You forgot to add them to the project. Go back to members.
That's what I did. Thank you.
Yeah, so once you add them there, remember the button on the upper right.
Yep.
And it should also be noted that you have the companies that they're with already on there.
Correct.
You also set the roles a little different. You had me as an engineer. I think I was supposed to be an architect.
You don't like to be an engineer, do you?
I don't do math.
That's better. Here's the magic button up here. Add to project. Once you get them all typed in, then you do have to add them to the project, and then they will be added. Now I can go back to my services and go back and add these particular project members to these specific teams. And so if I go to architectural, I'm going to go ahead and add all 3 of them to this team, but I'm going to give them different rights. And so I'll do it, like I said, by company. Now that I've got the companies in there, I can add the modern architect company. I'm going to add the ABC MEP engineers and the strong structural engineers and add all those to this team. But like I said, once they're added, we can have different rights assigned to this as far as permissions. For the architect, this is the architectural team, I'm going to give him edit rights, but I'm not going to give the MEP or the structural team edit rights for the architectural folders. So I'll bump this down and just say that the MEP engineers are only going to get view only. And then the structural engineers will also only get view only. But I'll leave the architect to be able to have view and edit in there. So again, this is establishing all the permissions for the folders that will be established and created in there. So I'm going to do this for each one of these. There's the architectural team. Let me go ahead and do the MEP team next. And I will add each of the three companies and assign the three different roles to each company.
And it should be noted, Mike, that this is Brian here. I've already received my email that I've been added to this team.
Good. As soon as somebody's added to the team, they'll get an invite.
Yeah, I have too.
So this is the MEP folder, so I'm giving the MEP engineer the edit rights, and I'm taking the edit rights away from the structural engineer and also the architect. And I've got one more to do, and then we'll flip it over to So this is the structural folder. Again, I'm going to take away the rights for the MEP engineer and also take away the rights for the architect for the structural model. So now what this has done, this has created these teams. And if we switch now back over to, real quick, just to back to the document management module where we see the actual folders in there. By creating these teams, this has automatically created me folders back in my document management for each one of my teams. And so now we have an architectural, MEP, and a structural. We also have a shared one that we'll talk about coming up pretty soon. But for now, we got these three subfolders in there, and the rights have already been assigned to these folders based on the teams that they're established to. Like I said, if we want to add other members to this or other folders in here, we can come here and add a subfolder. So I can come here and add maybe we have a CAD file folder in here. And if we want to upload something to this file folder, we can. We can just pick on it, and we've got an upload button up here that we can upload. So I'm going to go ahead and upload an AutoCAD file just to show you that in a minute they're going to be able to link in this AutoCAD file into their projects. So let me go out and find this AutoCAD file that I want to bring in real quick. I'll bring in this connection detail. It's an AutoCAD detail, and let that be uploading in there so they can use that in their projects when they get to it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Matt and let Matt take it over on the Revit side and let him show you how to begin the project inside of Revit.
Thank you, Mike. We'll wait here a second for my screen to start sharing. And okay, so my Revit model should be up on the screen. I'm in the architectural model. There's been no work sharing initiated on this thing yet, but I'm ready to do so. So those of you that have used C4R in the past, you'll see that it still works pretty much the same. If I go to the Collaborate ribbon and I click on the Collaborate button, you'll notice a slight difference here. I'm running Revit 2019, and so you'll notice down here that the option to go to BIM 360 Team has changed to go to BIM 360 Document Management. So that's the BIM 360 design. If you're running Revit 2018.3, so there was an update issued for Revit 2018 on April 9th when this rolled out for 2018.3, and installing that update in Revit 2018 will give you the option. You'll have three choices here: within your network, in BIM 360 Team, or in BIM 360 Document Management. So you can go either way. Revit 2018.2 and prior, you will still just see the BIM 360 Team option here instead of BIM 360 Document Management. So again, you still have access to your old projects, your existing projects. It just depends on what version of Revit and what updates you have installed as to how you get to them. So I'm going to go ahead and initiate collaboration in the BIM 360 document management, and I'll click OK. So the next dialog box that comes up will then show me, again, every account that I have access to. And so we're in this one here, the project that Mike just invited me to. Here is the raw and uncut project, and I'll go to the architectural folder, and I'm just going to upload my file to the architectural folder. And that's basically it. It's going to take it a few minutes, obviously. It's got to upload the file and initiate collaboration just like it did in the past. So at this point, probably, Mike, maybe you want to take over again and show the lanes and sharing and so forth, and talk about packaging. And I think Mike or Brian Juge is actually initiating sharing with his structural model while I'm doing this. I believe John's doing the same on the MEP model. So we'll see those shown up here in the project in just a minute. So Mike, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. So I'm back in my document management folder where my folders are created. And there's my screen. And I mentioned that shared folder a while ago. Like I said, when I created those teams, they have specific rights to edit just in the folders that they're assigned to. But everybody has the right to work in the shared folder or to access the shared folder. And so right now, what we want to set up is a shared file so that each discipline can link in the other discipline's model. So prior to this, in collaboration for Revit, you could do that because everybody had access to everything. But now, since we have permissions, we need to create a shared file so that the architect can link in the MEP model and the structural model and vice versa. So right now, if I go to this shared folder, there's nothing in here. There's folders in here for the architectural, MEP, and structural. But if I go into the architectural, it's empty. And so the first thing I need to do is go ahead and share these files that the architect and the engineers have uploaded so that they can link them in from this shared folder location. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and go into another module, the design collaboration module. This design collaboration module is my collaboration module, so I can see my Revit files that's been uploaded to the cloud, the live Revit models. And so when I go in here, looks like they're still being uploaded from the other parties in there. I think it's still working on it. But I want to introduce you to these swim lanes that are up here at the top. So we've got one for each team. We've got an MEP, structural, and architectural. And right now we're looking at the architectural. But there's nothing on these swim lines. So we need to create what's called a package that will consist of the set that's been included in the Revit model and also the 3D project model, so that we can share this to the other members in there. And so to simply create the packages in there, let me see if the structural's already got one in there. And they're still working on it. Let me go ahead and try to create the package, although I don't think it's going to do it because it's not there yet. I know it's not there yet because it says 0 sets down here. It's got zeros and this is still spinning. So I know that, you know, they just uploaded it, so it's still working on uploading their files to the site.
Hey, Mike, why don't you try going to the document management module to see if they're there, because I was actually able to link the structural and MEP model into mine, so they're up there.
Already? So they're already there? Okay. Well, if they're there, I can go ahead
through C4R.
Yeah, they're there. Okay, I do see them. Yeah. So let me go back. Okay, it's still processing them, but I think I can go ahead and make an issue for them. So let me go back and make a package and issue these. So I'll do this for each discipline. So let me open up my swim lanes again, and I'll start with the architectural. And to do that, I'm going to hit the plus sign over here to create a new package. And when I do that, it's going to go out and fetch from the model. It's still processing it. all the sets that were included, which would be the sheets and the views that were shared, and also the 3D model, and is going to combine that into a package that we can share with the other disciplines. Yeah, it's taking a little bit longer than I thought it would, but it's hung on processing that. So if you're able to go ahead and link them in, Matt, won't we switch back to you if you've got them linked in already?
Well, actually, maybe this would be a good place for Brian to show the linking.
Yeah, that'd be good. Why don't we show the linking? So let me turn it over to Brian, who's the structural engineer, to link it in.
And it's still picking the screen. As I thought it was. Let's work on that. About 6 buttons you got to click to get this done. There we are. All righty. Well, now I'm going to go over and link it in just like normal. So I'm going to come over here and go to my link Revit. Right here at the top. Make sure, there we are. And you can see right on the screen, it's already brought me into that environment. I'm already inside of BIM 360. I'm in the raw and uncut folder, so I'll navigate through that. And since I'm linking in the architectural, I'll go into the architectural. And whoops, I think I need to go into shared now that I think about it. So I'll go into the shared, and this is the big difference in here, is I'll go into the shared model and then go into the architectural folder. And there it is, not shared in there yet. I think we're still waiting on Mike to share that.
He's got to create that package and share it. So the benefit here, I mean, is that you can control when those models are available to be linked by someone else. So even though my model may be uploaded to the project, until I or someone with the correct permissions in my team folder make that model available for sharing, it's not going to be available to the other teams.
Okay,
yeah,
okay. Check again, Brian. It should be there by now. I just shared it.
And I'd say that's the big advantage for having it in that shared folder, is that until Matt's ready as the architect to release that, I won't be able to. It's still not. Let's try this one more time. Reset it. Go back in that Revit.
Yeah, if you remember when we were testing this, there was a little bit of a lag before it showed up here.
Okay, and that might take several minutes to do. But once that's in there, things seem to work otherwise. So I could go at the other way, which is just going into the directly into the file and grabbing Matt's architectural folder in there. This obviously isn't preferred, but for the sake of time, I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to link it in origin to origin. We haven't set up outside of the project. Oof. Maybe I need to wait, because it's not going to let me, because I don't have permission on that yet.
This is why we titled this Raw and Uncut.
Uncut, because we're still trying to get in here. There it is. So there you can see. Now, maybe it should be raw, uncut, and maybe patience. If I waited a little bit longer, now I can see it in the file. I've got it in there. Uh-oh. Try this one more time. Depends on my permission level that I have set up. That should be working. Let's try it for the third time. Shared file, architectural. So now we seem to be having a little bit of an issue. And a lot of times this comes back to permission levels on that project hierarchy in there. And I don't know if I have the right permissions on this. And so, Mike, could you double check to make sure what
I just did. I just did, and you should have complete access to share, but try it one more time.
All right. Again, this takes a couple minutes to update.
And it may be because you started that dialog box before it was finished.
Yeah. Again, patience would be the key here. Let's wait just a hair. If you look at my beautiful structural model, going back through. You must host medical office in this project. I have hosted. I'm pretty sure.
Try one more time, Brian.
All right. This time I'm syncing it again just to be on the safe side. And don't know why that'd make any difference in the world. Shared, architectural, and now it seems to be fine.
Like I said, sometimes it's just a little bit of a delay to process everything because we're trying to do this real quick, and I think it just takes a little bit of time for it to get down and process it.
I think you guys are all at sea level, and I'm up at a mile high, so it takes a while to get up that mountain. All right. So now I've got, should we have that model in there? And normally we'd be able to see it, but right now I'm in a structural discipline, so I'll go to an architectural, and there I can see that I have that architectural model link of mats back in. I'm able to select that. All right. So now I have this model in front of me. I believe Matt's going to go ahead and make some changes while I have this on the screen.
Yeah, I'm synchronizing right now. So I just synchronized. All I did was change a door swing on the ground floor up in the upper left corner of the building. So if you go to maybe a floor plan view that's architectural, you'll see before you refresh. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, you will need to create a new package to update the share folder. So if you zoom in the upper left corner, the second floor on the far left side, the second room down, I just changed the door swing. So once you're able to resync, you should see that door swing flip.
All right.
That smaller room on the left side. Yeah, you're.
There we are. Oh, that's.
No, first ground floor.
Ground floor. I was just there.
Yeah. Yeah, you were actually looking at the room. So if you zoom in a little bit, that room on the left wall there, the second one down, I changed the door swing. So once you're able to synchronize, then you should see that, not that one, the next one down, opening into the main foyer there. Nope, that one right there, yeah. So Mike, I think right here is where you need to do another package.
I just did. So it should be there.
So in theory, when I go back and sync, we should see those changes being pushed.
And again, there may be a lag, just like there was before, but again, the idea here is you can control, just like the way people work now. If they're not cloud sharing, they control when they send an updated model to their consultants. It's not an instantaneous thing. You may not want them to be seeing those changes yet. So yeah, we've got a little bit of a lag. It's going to have to catch up with you.
We might give it a little bit of time here. Yeah. I guess what that's going on.
Why don't you go ahead and link in the drawing file to show how that works?
Sure, certainly. So down in my windows, I want to point out that I have down in here a newer icon that's allowing me to get access into other documents that are associated within this project. And you'll see that I'm connected. The A is white, meaning that you're connected. If it's blue, it means you're disconnected in here. So I'm able to go in there and look at this. So I'm going to get into my Windows browser, and I'll pull that over. And you can see here I have my BIM 360 preview. You can see right below it that I also have one for Team. I have another one for Drive. But this is a newer one that's out there that I have my BIM 360 preview, and I'll just click on that and kind of go through that list in here. So then I can get into my ASTI design collaboration, navigate to that raw and uncut project, and then finally get into some of the other folders that are in there. And where did you end up putting this one by chance? Shared and structural. That's the medical center. Did you put one in here, Matt, or do I need to go grab it? I have mine too.
Yeah, it's under raw and uncut.
Yep.
And then
yeah, we didn't set up an architectural folder yet for that, or a Cad drawing folder.
Yeah, it should be there.
It's on. No, it's not there.
Refresh your screen. Refresh your folder. See if it's there.
It is in the medical office project, not this project.
The last project we were in. That's where it's at. So I did this yesterday. I'll go to the medical office.
Let me just copy it over.
Oh, then we can see that
if
live.
I can.
So here we have an Autocad files from our practice the other day. And while I'm talking, Matt's going to copy that over.
Actually, I'm going to just re-upload.
That'll work too. But the nice part is that you have access, very much like other online file sharing, programs that are out there that you can go in and share files, in this case, that are non-related to Revit, so that we can collaborate back and forth with CAD drawings in this case.
There's now a CAD file folder that Mike updated, and the connection details in there.
There it is. So now you can see that's been conveniently uploaded. And then I can go inside and see that connection detail now exists. Now I'll go bring it into Revit, and then when I'm done with this, I'll update the file, and hopefully we'll see that door change. All right, so I'll go back into Revit, and this time I'm going to make a new view. So I'll go up to View, and then in here I'm going to make a drafting view. Give them the name connection. I believe F is what we're at the series right now. So I get that new connection view. And I love these tabs. I think this is great. So we can actually pull this into this other side, which is nice. Or you can move these windows to other screens. Great feature. So now I'm going to go over into my insert, and I'm going to link a CAD drawing in here. So go ahead and hit my link command up above. And I'll browse into that history just like we did before. Wow.
Just click on the look in and go to my PC. That's usually what I do. Go to this PC.
Yeah. There it is. Preview.
Yeah.
And we just CAD files. Connection detail, and make it black and white for now. Hit open. Actually, since it's a CAD drawing, I'll do center to center. And this becomes a really nice way of bringing in, JPEG files, CAD drawings, whatever we need into that drawing in here. And then if I zoom extent, now you can see that I have that CAD drawing brought into the program. So a nice way of sharing files, collaborating between the other disciplines.
And again, if someone else was to open this file, they would also see that DWG file through the desktop connector. That's the really nice thing here. Up until recently, you couldn't do that with C4R.
Yes. Real pain in the past, that's for sure. So I'm going to jump back over to my collaboration tab, or I could hit my quick access toolbar, and I'm going to sync with Central. And again, we're going to look at this door down here at the bottom and see what changes we've made. So we'll hit sync, create a new view, so I have to relinquish my rights for that. A little hard to read, but I'll drag this guy over so it's just about done. Saving a local, and No change, Matt. You sure you changed it?
Yeah, I did, but we're running out of time here, so let's we're on Uncut, like I said. So why don't we go ahead and move on and just kind of wrap things up and talk about a couple of other stuff and do some quick review.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt. He's going to go over the synchronizing with Central versus the publishing. I'll stop sharing my screen here.
Okay, so wait for mine to load. So this was something that we used to get a lot of phone calls on. We still do sometimes with BIM 360 team, and it's essentially, again, the same with BIM 360 design. When you're looking at the files in the document manager, you're only going to see the last published version of the file, regardless of permissions, regardless of package or whatever. What you see in the document management window is only the last published version. So if you just simply initiate cloud collaboration and you never publish anything after that, it's going to look like that file has never been updated, no matter how many times you synchronize, because the actual cloud collaboration file is hidden until you choose to expose it with the Publish tool. And there's a process to go through with Publish. When I go to the Collaborate ribbon and I click on, instead of just going directly to Manage Cloud Models, which is where I would go to Publish, first I want to go to my Publish settings. I'm going to click on Publish settings here. And I'm going to define a set. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is tell Revit I don't want to publish everything, so I'm going to choose Select None. And I want to look at all views and sheets in the model, everything. And in this case, I want to upload a 3D view. I want to make sure I publish that. And I also want to publish all of my sheets except for maybe the 3D sheet. So I can go through here and choose the sheets and or views that I want to upload and define those as a set. Now, when I hit Save and Close, it now keeps that information. And very critical here, before actually doing the publish, you want to synchronize. So I'll go up here and synchronize my model again. And just so you know, my connection here, I work from my house. I've got an AT&T UVerse connection, and I think it's the kind of the mid-range level. It's not the highest end. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to go to Manage Cloud Models, again on the Collaborate ribbon, and I'll go to the project that I'm working in. This thing loads. So this will show me all of the projects that I have access to, no matter what account they're on. And so here is my model, and I will go ahead and publish that. That will then, once it's done, that will make that available in the document manager, and then that new version can be added to a package. And that may be why it didn't update, Brian, because it hadn't been published. I think you have to, again, this is raw and uncut. We're still figuring out some of the fine points of this workflow, but I think we probably should have published before creating the package, and then when you
yeah, I think that's
when
right.
you did the yeah, it makes perfect sense. So that's what the deal was. You were basically relinking the same cloud model and not the original cloud model and not the synchronized versions.
And I think that was a thing early on that they'd always mentioned, that as the structural engineer is making changes, the architect would see them live. So by having the publish feature, it keeps you from seeing every little nuance.
Right. So the workflow is publish, then create your package, and then once that package has been created with the updated publish model, then when you resynchronize, you would see the changes. We are almost out of time, so do we want to pass it over to Mike for just a real quick overview again of the packages and the swim lanes and all of that stuff, and then a wrap up with Q&A?
Yes, let me just I'll go through this pretty quickly, but let me show this. I am back in a project, and I'm back in these swim lanes. Just wanted to show you, this is a different project that's been published quite a few times, and just kind of show you the difference here. So we got the different disciplines. Each one of these dots represents a package that's been shared out there. So that, for example, this architectural package is shared 3 or 4 times in here. So each one of these has been shared in there. But if I go to the structural package and look at the structural model, there's one in here that's not been incorporated. So when you see a solid dot, those have been incorporated into my structural model. But when you see an open dot, that one's not been incorporated. So this is a model that the architect has shared, but I have not incorporated it into my structural model yet. So if I want to see this architectural model, I can pick on this dot and it will show me the set that's down here. And if I want to explore it, I can go ahead and hit explore and it will open up the model so I can see the architectural model that he has published. If I'm interested in what's changed in this model since the last time he published it, I can go up and say show changes. And when I pick on show changes, it will ghost out the model and basically color code everything that's been changed. So I've got in here a bunch of stuff that's been added. I got 1 thing that's been removed and 2 things that's been modified. As you pick on these things, you can pick on them and it will zoom up around the item. For example, this basic wall here, or let me pick on this basic wall here, something's been changed about it, and I've got a before and after in here. So I can switch back and forth to the before and after and see what's been changed. What's been changed was this door opening has been moved, and so one version of the wall has the opening and the other one does not have the opening in there. So you're able to see exactly what's been changed before you incorporate it. To incorporate it, I'm going to go ahead and hit the consume button, and when I consume this model, it's going to add this model into my structural model so that I have the latest and greatest version in there so I can see it. If I want to see the project model, I can come in here and open up the entire project model with all the disciplines in here. And just to show you that since we created the teams in there, if I want to break this down, I can turn on my teams icon and turn off certain parts of the model. If I want to turn off the architectural, I can turn off the architectural. I can turn off the structural. I can turn off the MEP and get right down just to the interiors, or turn them all back on. So I've got complete control over what I'm seeing in there. And you also have a control in here to actually show levels. So if I want to see just maybe the second floor, this is going to slice it and just show me the second floor. We can also have our own sectioning tools if we want to create our own sections, but it's got these built-in level commands that we can use as well. The last thing I want to show you real quick is if I go back and look at one of these sheets that are in this set. If I open up let me go back to the architectural and open up the architectural, because I know it's got some links in there. But if I open up the actual one of these sheets, there's 15 sheets in this set. But if I open up one of the floor plans, I'll go to the ground floor plan. Just wanted to note that the links that are in the file are active. For example, if I want to go to one of these sections in here, I can just click on the section marker and it's going to take me straight to that section view, the sheet that has the section on it, and then I can click on this section to go to this section. But it does bring in the hyperlinks, and so all the section markers and elevation markers are going to be active that you can hyperlink in the sheets in there. So that's a pretty neat new feature that we've got. So with that, I think we'll kind of wrap it up and open it up for questions. I think we've got quite a few questions that I can see in there. How do we want to handle questions on this?
Why don't we let Amy moderate that?
Sure. It looks like you guys have been answering some and sending them to everyone. So I'll try to start with the ones that have not been answered at all yet. Will Navisworks work in this environment also similar to Glue?
Not in the same way that Glue does. However, Glue is part of another bundle that plugs into the same BIM 360 Docs platform. So short answer there is to collaborate in this environment, you would need BIM 360 Glue.
Okay. I'm not able to see the other BIM 360 with the desktop connector.
Yeah, let me mention that. There is an add-in that you got to install. You got to install the desktop connector, and then there's an add-in for the BIM 360 that you've got to install. So it's 2 installs. That link can be found. It's in the help section of the program. We might be able to provide that link somehow or another, but it is a separate download. So look for the BIM 360 desktop add-in is what you need to install.
All right. And who will create shared worksheets, work sets?
I think
that's really the same as it always has been. Whoever would normally establish your work shared model, whether it's a local work shared model or a cloud work shared model, would be the one to set up the work sets. That really doesn't change.
All right. Can you change the location on your computer where the desktop connector data is stored?
It has to be in that team, that BIM 360 folder, and which is syncing with what's in the document management. Is that the question?
Yeah, I think the question was sort of like with Dropbox, where you can specify a different location. I don't think you can, though.
Yeah.
There is no local save on that. That is actually a cloud drive. That might be the misconception, or might have made someone to believe that that was local. That is not local. That's a cloud drive that my machine is accessing.
Can you clarify the difference between architectural folder in the main project directory and the architectural folder within the shared folder?
You want to take that one, Mike?
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Sure. Can you clarify the difference between the architectural folder and the main project directory? Okay,
sure.
You got it.
Yeah, the main architectural folder is the work in process. That is the live model, and so what's in the shared model is the package that I shared with the other team members, and so they're actually linking in a shared version of that. That keeps them out of my folder. It keeps them out of my live model, so that they're not able to access my live model. So that just gives us a layer of protection there. So the shared folder is my package that I shared with the team, so that they could link it in.
So only people that are members, for example, of the architectural team can work in the architectural folder in the main folder. The shared architectural folder is what's made accessible to the other teams.
All right, and the only other question I see isn't really related to BIM 360 design, but someone asked what program is being used to create the big arrows on the screen. I think it was Brian Juge who was showing that.
Yeah, I get that asked a lot. That's actually a program called ePointer, and it just allows me to pick things out.
All right, and so it looks like the other questions have been answered and were shared with everyone. Are there any of those, Matt, that you think we should repeat out loud, or do you think we have covered everything?
Well, I do want to reiterate version of Revit, just to make sure everybody's clear. Again, you do have access to BIM 360 Team if you're running 2018.3 or prior. Right? So with 2019, no team, but with 2018.3 or prior, you have access to team. If you want access to design, you have to have 2018.3 or later. So 2018.3, you've got access to either one from that version of Revit, and then from there, you either drop down a version to go to team or go up a version to go to design only. The other thing, there was a couple more questions just came in. Is there a way to keep the link files where you don't have to publish like C4R is currently used? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but I'll try to answer that. In order to be able to link using the cloud collaboration, the file has to be up on the BIM 360 design project. That's the only way to be able to link the Revit project into it. And then there's a question, do we have to purchase BIM 360 design, or is it included in our other licenses? So yeah, John addressed this at the beginning, but it may not have been real obvious. If you already have a BIM 360 team and C4R entitlement, then you have access to BIM 360 design. So when you go to your accounts page and you click access, it'll take you to that page that John showed where you can activate your BIM 360 design entitlement. You want to read the fine print. There's going to be 3 checkboxes there that you want to make sure that all of those apply to you, because depending on the situation, you may not want to go through it that way, but the fine print will explain to you what you should do based on the type of contract that you currently have. Likewise, if you purchase a new seat of BIM 360 design, that will also give you access to BIM 360 Team for your older work.